Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, I got a new camera here, which is a better camera than the one I was using previously for this. I'm using OBS Studio to record this, so I can show my screen and whatnot. This camera's better, it has a little focus issues. I wanted to respond to a question on my video where I was unboxing my new shoes to show just a few days ago. Let me go through it. There's actually another comment too I'll talk about really quick. Let me go back to OBS Studio because I always forget to do this. Go to scene, there we go. Now we switch over here. Ultra Escalante 3.0 unboxing and some shoe talk. Alright, so first response. I am recent Hoka convert. I don't run, but I do work on set. My most recent pair did have more of a slant forward, and it contributes to back pain. It seems that the models vary on the slants. This is true. So some of them are a little higher stack height than others. I really like my Hokas for walking around. I got these for an event. I talked about it in the last video. I do like to walk in these, which I'll get into in a minute. I don't like running in them. I'll get into that in a second as well. And then this is the one that I wanted to really make this video for. Mark, interesting. How can you run further with less cushioning? How does that work? Serious question. So this is the one I want to address because how do you run further with less cushioning? Okay. It all really comes down to running comfort and how much your body is dealing with when you go to run. If you run, I don't know, let's say you run 5 miles, but your body feels abused, you're going to want to stop real fast. But if you run 5 miles and it just feels easy, you're going to want to keep going. And this doesn't have to do with the strength of the running. A lot of it has to do with your form. Some people have great form already and they don't have to. You can just pop any shoe on them. They're all already going to run, like I'll say, correctly. I hate air quotes. I just did air quotes. They're already going to run, correctly, which is subjective-ish, but there are a lot of studies on the biomechanics of running that show things, and people do these studies and then they try to make shoes to adjust the way your foot hits and all this, which is the opposite of what you want to do. But as far as the comfort goes, when your body doesn't hurt, you can run much further. So let me go into some reasons why the body hurts. We'll stand up here, kind of like try to set this up so I can show you the difference between landing forefoot versus heel striking. This is really what it comes down to. It's not so much the cushion in the shoe, it's more the running form. And cushion shoes, the more cushion can promote bad form because of some stuff I'll get into here in a second. It has to do with what you feel when you land and so forth. But when you heel strike, you're basically landing. I'm going to pull my leg here so you can see kind of what is happening. So when you heel strike, you come through your stride, and when you land like this, which already does not feel good with no shoes on. You land like this, your leg is straight or nearly straight, and you're coming in with a lot of force because you're traveling pretty quickly. You land, and then you come through and you kick off with now your back foot. Problem with that is that all of these forces, you hit the ground, that felt bad. There's kind of two parts to the heel strike that are happening. Your foot hitting the ground, which is the initial impact, and then as your body weight transitions onto that leg, you put a lot of pressure through these bones. So you'll get all this force through your tibia, into your knee, through your femur, into your hip. Now, if you're lucky, those forces will kind of stop there. But if you're unlucky, like me, that'll actually tweak your whole pelvic bone and into your back. So your back will start to get sore. And this is probably not good. You don't have anything, there's no shock absorption in your whole leg. You're just, boom. The only shock absorption is that little padding in your shoe, which feels better immediately to your foot, but it's not really helping the rest of your leg. Now, if you run on a forefoot, which I talked about in the last video, let me back up a little bit so you can see your foot is much closer to your body when you land. It's not so far out in front of you. And to land on your forefoot, you're bending your knee slightly. I'm going to exaggerate this a little bit so you can see what's happening. But you'll land on your forefoot, and now your heel comes down. So the initial impact is now sucked up right there by the strongest tendon in your whole body, your Achilles and your calf. They are your shock absorber. It takes that initial impact. So I can run a marathon distance with minimal shoes or no shoes, and my heels never get sore from hitting the ground because of that little shock absorption right there is sucked up. But again, you'll notice my knees are now bent. And what happens now is as I transfer through, I get a little knee bend, and now all the rest of that momentum is being sucked up by my quads, and my glutes are basically sucking up that impact. So you come through on a forefoot strike or a midfoot strike, it's all sucked up because you have a natural bend in your knee. So now all those forces that would be going through your bones and in your joints with the heel strike are now basically eliminated. And as soon as I started doing this, like the first time I started running like this, immediately noticeable how much less pain I felt during running. Made a huge difference. So I think I talked about in the last video how I went to like a full barefoot run. I started running barefoot, which immediately tells you something's wrong. Your heel is so sensitive. Your feet are on par with your hands as far as sensitivity goes. So if you land wrong, you feel it in your foot right away, and you will just change how you land. If you step on a Lego or a rock that's sharp, your whole body will involuntarily adjust immediately to not put too much pressure on that thing. But when you have a shoe with a big cushy sole, you don't get that initial sensation in your heel. So it feels better right away, and your joints aren't as sensitive as your heel. But over time, you're putting a lot of wear and tear, and you're crushing the cartilage in your knees and beating the cartilage in your hips. It's really not good. But if your heel was just hitting the ground, you wouldn't run like that. You would just change it. And that's what I had to do. Now, this isn't a thing against the padding. If you already have that form, you're already a forefoot runner, and you wear padded shoes, it'll never matter to you. It'll never matter to you. For me, to transition from being a heel striker to a forefoot, midfoot runner, it took me literally taking my shoes off in running and just feeling. Because now, if I do it wrong, it feels bad. And it was so easy to change when you feel it, because your body my body wouldn't let me run on my heels at all with my shoes off. And so I got used to doing that, and then I moved into, like I said, a minimalist shoe. I was wearing those finger shoes for a while, and then I switched to these Merrells because they just look a little more normal. The same company makes the soles, and there's barely anything here. So my form was the same. The amount of ground feel I had was nearly identical. And now that I've built that in, and my running form is based on that, if I move to a shoe like this is actually quite a bit of padding for me, but it's completely flat inside, so it's not promoting a heel strike like this one is. So even if I'm running the way that I run in this shoe, my foot being lifted off the ground, my heel, right? It's already at an angle. So to get my suspension through my legs, like I was mentioning, I have to do it even more, and it starts to become like a thing I have to think about, or I start landing really flat on the shoes and the impact is weird. However, if I had that crappy heel strike form that I used to have, and then I went to a shoe like this, even though this is a much better shoe for the form, it wouldn't fix my running. I had to go barefoot to fix it, and then I moved back up to a thing like this. This has enough padding all over that I could still heel strike in this if I was a heel striker, and it would probably work as well as half the other shoes. But having changed my form, this is a shoe I can use. And so I'm not against the cushion in the shoe. The getting rid of the cushion initially helped me get over all that impact abuse that I was having when I would run. So when I meet people who are trying to run and they just are having an awful time, it's painful, it hurts, if I go run with them and I look, they almost always are running exactly how I used to run. And when I meet people who never had a problem running, they could always run, and I run with them, they almost always are forefoot, midfoot strikers. There are a handful of exceptions, but for the most part, that's just what I've seen. So I'm not opposed to cushioned shoes. Cushioned shoes, I think, contribute to a lot of the problems that people have with their feet. That's all. I hear people like, oh, I have flat feet, I have plantar fasciitis. A lot of that stuff is caused by not having strong arches. And if you wear shoes that give you arch support your whole life, you will not have strong arches, and your arches will collapse. And people are like, oh, it's genetic. You might have a genetic predisposition to have weak arches, but there's a really good chance you wore shoes that had a little arch support under there, and your arches never got strong, so then your arches collapsed. Now, there's some studies showing that people have been able to rebuild the arches with certain exercises and so forth, and running barefoot is a really good way to help that. And people are like, oh, I can't run barefoot because my arches are flat. It's almost the opposite thing. You want to not have the support. You want to work on building your arches back up, not always support them. It's like wearing a cast forever. If you ever broken a bone, you had a cast on, yeah, my elbow is bent. Look, I don't have to bend my elbow. Look, it's already bent. But the second you take that cast off, your arm is so weak. And that's what you're doing to your foot every time you add a big arch support. So wear them if you want, if it's comfortable. But there's quite a few reasons why I wouldn't wear them. I could go on about this for freaking hours, but I'm not going to go any further because it's boring to like 99.97% of my audience. So I just wanted to address that thing. And yeah, if there's more questions about that, let me know. I got to go start making some stuff again and get back to it. Again, I'll do another video about my knee surgeries. And also with the knee surgeries, running in the minimalist shoes, the best thing. I could run forever. Running in those padded shoes, my knee would hurt. Just the way it is. So, anyway, I would stop there, but you know what? I think I should address one more thing. I was about to stop, and I think I should address one more thing. Is that even with a shoe like this, which is better for the form, the more padding you have, the less informed your brain is about what your foot is feeling. So when your foot touches the ground, you have a delayed reaction in your legs, and that millisecond delay is really, really important to how your leg and your whole body responds to the motion of the running, so the motion of your legs during the run. So the more padding you have, I feel like even if your form is good, it delays the response time of your body parts. But just wanted to add that. Hopefully that doesn't dog down this whole video too much, because I'm going to stop it right now. I'm going to get back to work. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. I'm sorry for the rest of my audience who doesn't care about any of this, but I wanted to address that because I think it's important for people that are starting out or having problems running. Changed my world to eliminate all the padding in my shoes. Really, really, really helped stuff. And now I've grown back to a little bit here and there, not all the time, sometimes for certain runs. But it took me getting rid of it to get better. I know I said that already. I'm going to talk in circles, so I'm going to go. Thanks for stopping by. See you kids soon. Later!